No, I don't think there's a right or wrong decisions when you are building and operating your business because everything is about the progress you make in the entrepreneurial process.
It's like good enough. So you gotta be great, and I'ma do whatever it takes. Doing what I love for life, and I'll pay the price, and not stopping even if the shit kills me, even if it kills me.
Countdown coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
Three,
Countdown coming up.
2, 1.
Hi guys, and welcome to MattGron Talks. This is episode 148, and my name is Mattias Gronborg, aka MattGron, and here I share my scaling up journey, building my company from nothing to something. And of course, as usual, with us, my dear friend and co-host Svea Malina Landshoff. How are you doing?
Wow, what an energy on this Monday today. I'm doing very good. I'm actually very excited to come to the office this week because, on Thursday and Friday we have the conference. But we're going to talk more about that later this week. So first of all, I know why you came here because this is where entrepreneurship runs smack into reality. And maybe you didn't know, we do this 3 times per week and we have interesting topics on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Matthias, do you want to share the framework?
Yes, guys, we have a framework for you. And every Monday I share my self-development journey growing as a human being and a leader. And then every Wednesday we talk about everything I'm learning in the entrepreneurial process. And when I'm building up my company, I go moon. And then every Friday I share my weekly inventory. And then I talk about things I could have done differently. And then I also share what I have learned during the week. And we are celebrating the victories together.
Yes, we do. But I have to say, I'm impressed always how you say the word entrepreneurial. I still have problems. It's episode 148, but I don't know. It just does get into my brain. I still have my problems with that. But let's talk about the...
there is always these words, right?
Yeah. We know that we're experts on these words. But luckily, I don't have to say this word in the Monday episode because there it's more about, self-development and leadership. These words I can pronounce. And today I want to talk about decision-making. And I'm curious about what kind of person you are. I mean, we all do decisions on a daily basis, right? Like no matter if you run a company or not. But I feel if you run a company, obviously your decisions have usually bigger impact also on other people, your employees, for example. So what kind of person are you? Are you the person who is like really taking time to think all the options through and takes the decision maybe a little bit later? Or do you usually go with your gut feeling and are more spontaneous?
My answer to that is both. But I want to ask you a question as well. I mean, how do you define a gut feeling?
Okay, I think for me, a gut feeling is when for me, it usually applies for smaller decisions. So when I want to buy ice cream and I have the decision between chocolate or vanilla, then I feel I have an impulse and then I choose the chocolate one. That for me is gut feeling. What is it for you?
Yes, but I think it's a really good example because then you need to know how both vanilla and chocolate taste, right?
Good point. Yeah, didn't think about that.
And I don't think you only use your intuition for small decisions. You also do that on much bigger decisions. So, because for me, if we use the vanilla and chocolate example here, for me, intuition is pretty much based on like earlier experiences, knowledge and skills. Mm-hmm. So, of course, then it becomes like your sixth sense if you practice it and develop it. And it's also very important to have the self-esteem to actually trust your intuition.
Yeah, because I know you said that at multiple occasions before on different topics that you always say, like, especially when you are an entrepreneur, I said it right, then, you have to really, develop your intuition and also trust it. So like, I just gonna repeat what you said. So that also applies for you when you make decisions, right? To, like you said, have confidence in yourself and trust that feeling.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, no matter what you want to do in life, you need to trust yourself and your own intuition. In the end of the day, you can't listen to other people if you should be able to create something new for yourself. So, and for other people. So, yes.
You said something interesting. You said for you, or like maybe it's not only for small decisions that you use your intuition. You also use it for bigger decisions, right? But how, I'm just thinking about how I'm trying to imagine how you sit down when you have to make an important decision to make. Do you have like maybe any strategies or processes when you actually sit down and think about something? Do you maybe do a list or something? Do you work with a point system? Do you have anything there? Some knowledge you could share with us, because I'm interested in how you do it.
I think the first thing that came to my mind when you asked that question, if there's a bigger decision, I always make sure that I'm not hungry. I'm not, angry, because if I'm angry, I'm, maybe too emotional. And I also remind myself I'm not lonely. It's always important to have a, support system of people around you. And sometimes it's good for me to also talk to them. And then I also make sure I'm not tired, so I always check off these boxes.
Yeah,
so to speak.
That's true, because your emotions or how you're feeling could definitely also reflect in your decision and influence that. That's a good point that you said there. Make sure you have eaten, you're not hangry, and you had some rest, and you have like a awake mind to take the decision.
Because there's always there is all type of different decisions you need to make, and there could be an urgent matter that you need to make a decision on, and then you could also have like very important, more long-term things you are, showing on a little bit, right? For months, because and in that way you now we're back on the gut feeling, the intuition, and I have that conversation, with my inner self on this long-term important topic, maybe. So maybe not every decision I make is like a quick one. I could still have been thinking about them for a long time, even if it looks very quick for you as an external person. I could have been thinking about it for a long time. Subconsciously as well. So
for example, the new office, from outside it was like, oh wow, they're moving, like that was quick, but I know behind the scenes you have been like thinking about that for a long time, and it was not just like that. But probably the decision to actually take that opportunity, that was spontaneous, but not the whole office moving thing. That was something that was going on for a long
exactly
time.
I mean, that's a really good example, because it was a process for 12 months. We were out there looking on different solutions, and of course then this option came up very fast, and we needed to make a decision in 7 days, and boom, it was fast, but
also not. I get what you mean.
Also not.
And when you just started something where you said, you make sure that you're on the right mindset if you have to make a bigger decision. And you know me, I'm German. I like my structure and everything. And I just want to know, do you have maybe a principle? Because I know there are different techniques you could use, and people are very different when it comes to that. I know, for example, David always does like his, pros and cons list, the classic, where he, visualizes that for him. Do you use any things like this, or do you do the whole process in your head more?
I would say pros and cons list. That's a really good example for me, doing the process in your head, because it's kind of very intellectual, mental processing of information. I mean, of course you need to bring your mind into the decision making. But I think the intuition we were talking about before, that's the part when you also involve your heart, and maybe different senses in your decision making. So
sure. Yeah.
And that's you are asking for the process, and that's why I talked about I'm making sure that I'm not hungry or in a bad emotional state, and then I also I always make sure that I use like people around me, like support the support system of people, and I think the most important one is always not to be tired.
Yeah.
Because if you have been sleeping bad for a couple of days, then you can for sure become very how should I say,
maybe
not so good at decision making.
That actually brings me to, you just inspired me to ask another question. What do you think about this approach of, when you have a big decision to make, sleep a night over it? That's at least what we say. Do you think that's
exactly what that's exactly my point.
Yeah. And
sleep on it.
Yeah, I also think I agree with that, because it has happened to me personally a couple of times that I had like an impulse, but then actually when I thought, okay, take 24 hours just to think this through, if this is actually the right thing. And a lot of times I slept over it and had a completely different view on it the next day that was better for me, that I actually slept over it. I have a more philosophical question now at the end, because I always like our discussions about these kind of things. Do you think there are such things as right and wrong decisions? And how do you even define what's right and wrong? Do you have any input on that?
No, I don't think there's a right or wrong decisions when you are building and operating your business, because everything is about the progress you make in the entrepreneurial process. Mm-hmm. Of course, in the decision-making process, you will learn a lot of new things based on which direction you go, right? But I think this is really connected with the first question you asked today. And this is actually how I build and strengthen up my intuition muscle, right?
Yeah.
So and that's my answer, no.
No.
Because every time, like, this is how it goes for me. Every time I start thinking about okay, was this a right or wrong decision? Then I actually end up judging it from the wrong perspectives, and so that's. It also reminds me a lot about how I before I started pursue my entrepreneurial path.
Yeah.
Then I would say I was kind of paralyzed, right? Because I was always thinking about, okay, is this a good business idea or is this a bad business idea? So I think that question actually always put me on a path where I get paralyzed, and then I'm not, I'm not taking any decisions.
Yeah, I completely understand that, because I also had that when I think too much or obsess too much about, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Should I do this or should I do that? Then I end up not doing anything. And I feel sometimes it's better to take a decision and do something and get forward than obsessing about left or right. But if you just stand still, you're not going to end up anywhere. And I think that's the takeaway also that you had here. It's about the process also, and there's not a right and wrong per se, and I agree. Also, how do you really define what is right or wrong? Because I feel sometimes a right decision for you might be a wrong one for me. Or maybe the right decision or the decision you take right now is right for you in this moment, but maybe not next year anymore. So I feel it's a process, like so many things that we talk about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a really good point. It could be good or bad for different perspectives of the question. And something that I have learned is that I also need to ask myself, is this okay for me?
Yeah.
Because in the entrepreneurial process over the years, I have had a tendency to, how should I say, like sugarcoat things for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, then I'm actually acting against my own intuition.
Yeah, I understand.
So that's actually something. If you were earlier asking me about the process,
mm-hmm.
that's actually a part of my decision making process, where I kind of ask, is this okay for me?
Yeah, very important.
Just to make sure that I have myself with me into the equation. And of course, then when you also operate your business, I think in that way you must have a lot of empathy as well when you make the decisions. So on that side, when I thought about that when you brought up and that it could be right or wrong from different perspectives.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, Svea, thanks. Great questions today on the topic, decision making. And yes, use your gut feeling and make sure you sleep on it. And remember, there is no right or wrong decisions. It's only progress in the process, and the outcome from that will always feedback and strengthen your intuition, how you should do things the next time. If you really like what we talk about here in MattGron Talks, please subscribe, leave a comment, and then we hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.